Hi, y'all. I'm Noel, or Lel for short, and I use she, her pronouns. I was recently inspired to create my own tutorial series for how to make an Undertale slash Deltarune style game slash fangame after receiving this reply on a comment I left a year ago helping people out on Kibi's fangame tutorial series. But point is, Kibi stopped uploading and I feel that I could help people out in their place. Anyhow, that brings us here and now, this video. It shall be the first in a series with the aim of helping at least one person bring their vision for an Undertale slash Deltarune inspired game or fan game to life. This video will just be going over setting things up so that you're ready to start actually making it. And this series will also assume you have absolutely zero prior coding knowledge, and we'll have some small and optional, although recommended, challenges to encourage an understanding of how everything actually functions, so you're not just blindly like copying whatever I'm doing. You can actually be like, oh, okay, I understand, this is how this works, and then you can go on and create more stuff using that knowledge. And a huge disclaimer before we begin, I'm just some random high school girl who doesn't actually know shit about coding, and there are probably a bajillion better ways to do what I'm about to teach here. But hey, it functions, and if that's good enough for Toby Fox, it's good enough for me. And now, with all of that out of the way, let's begin! Start off, we want to download Gamemaker Studio too. So I'll have these the links that you need for everything in the description. So first you want to go to gamemaker.io and you want to click download. Then select the platform you want, Windows, Mac, Linux. I'm using Windows because I have some issues with Linux. I'll probably switch to that at some point, but for now let's just go Windows and let's download that. Then we can open it up, or most browsers should have like a little thing you can click and then just click it and it should open, or you go to your downloads folder or wherever you save stuff. So now we just gotta wait while it sets up the installation. Okay, now this is what you should get here. The license agreement, you can read through that if you want. No one ever does, so click agree. So you probably want to have like the start menu shortcuts, maybe a desktop. Personally, I won't be using desktop shortcut. And you definitely want the file association. Then we will click next. And destination folder, this is just where it's going to be installed. The default location should be fine, so click install. Okay, so then you want to click next and finish. And you can delete the installer if you want. Don't need it anymore. Alright, so now you should open up. You won't have any projects here, but yeah, so what we want to do is we want to create a project. And yeah, so this is a good time to mention I'm going to be creating a fan game alongside this tutorial series. But yeah, so now we can name this whatever you want. It doesn't have to be the final. You can always click like save as and rename it later, like the project file. So yeah, let's see. Also, I'm gonna save this to my desktop in a folder. And I'm gonna name the folder what the name of the game's gonna be, and I'm gonna name it Disappear, because it will be a fan game that follows like a prequel to Deltarune kind of. But okay, so let's select that as the folder we're gonna save, and we're gonna name it Disappearance. But you can name it whatever you want again, and I think I spelled that right. I'm gonna hope so. Alright, let's go. So now we have our project. Oh, if it asks you if you want like blocks or code, make sure to click code, like GML for Gamemaker link. But anyway, so as you can see, I set like the wallpaper. It won't be that way for you. But anyway, so I wish that's all we had to do, but there is a few things we must do before we can start. Because as you can see, if I create like an object or something, for example, and then I accidentally like delete it or something, like let's it does warn you, but like just let's say you accidentally delete something you don't want to do. If I'm like pressing Control Z here, but nothing's happening. And yeah, that's because Gamemaker like doesn't work with like Control Z with the files you delete. If you delete something, it's permanent. So to solve that, we are going to download something called GitHub Desktop, where we'll be able to use GitHub to back up our project. So you want to click download for Windows. This only works for Windows. If you're on Linux or Mac, you're gonna have to find something else. But okay, here's the Mac download. But you know, if you're on Linux, you can find something else. Anyway, so let's just download that. And yeah, you also need to make a GitHub account. I shouldn't need to explain how to do that. It's pretty simple. But okay, here you go. Now it's downloaded, and we can open it up. Alright, so now that you have GitHub Desktop, what you want to do is file, you also first log into your GitHub account, file, new repository, and we want to name this the name of your game or whatever you want. Disappear. I did not spell that right. Here. Okay. So now, description. You want a Deltarune game about this here of us. Okay. And you don't need a description if you don't want, but you know, might as well add it. Yeah, so then you wanna make sure you select where you want it. I would just select the I recommend having your game like folder inside another folder with the same name, just so that you can have like extra files here that aren't in the actual game project but are still like useful to your files, and you just have those backed up too. So yeah, I would like suggest doing that. Anyways, you want to select that folder, select, and create repository. So now we have this repository, although if we go to GitHub, you can see it's not showing up, right? So what we want to do is just click publish repository, and we're gonna name this disappearance description, a Deltarune Fangame about the disappearance of this, and you want to make sure you keep it private unless you want it to be public, but typically you want to keep your code private. So let's publish. Okay, and now if we reload here, yeah, we have our repository for our fan game. And here has stuff. Alright, so and also a useful thing to mention is so here shows all the changes on the left, and when we want to like say we want to get rid of this like room 1 here, we can just click delete and Control S, and then well, look, it shows that we got rid of room 1 here. There's a minus for it, right? Okay, and so we want to make sure like title, like what change you made, and I add it to description. Yeah, and then click commit to main, and then push to origin. Okay, and if you reload here, all the files that were updated have been show the new like show which like version it was, like the version where we removed room 1 rather than the initial commit. So yeah, that's pretty much all you need in order to have GitHub up and running. Okay, and so if you want to download the previous version where you like, oh darn it, I didn't mean to delete that, what you can do is you can click on where it has like how many commits you have. You're gonna go to the version that had the file that you deleted. You can click it, click browse files, and you can click on this little code button here, and you want to click download zip, and this will let you download the version with the file that you accidentally deleted. So let's tag all, extract, And here we go. Now we have the version that has the file that we deleted, and we can copy and paste it over if you're like, oh, I didn't mean to do that, and then you can just fix it that way, or you can just completely just use the older version. So yeah, and I'm gonna delete this because I don't need that. Oh, and a helpful thing you can do is to open up the folder of your game and just put the GitHub desktop in that folder so that you can have easy access to it whenever you're working on your project. You just open it up. You're like, okay, let me get my GitHub desktop. Yeah. So now as a final thing before we wrap this up, I just want to go through some quick settings that we'll need for our Fangame. So first, you want to go File, go to Preferences, and if you want to change your background, you can do it here. I recommend using Stretch. You can use whatever you want, and use your image here. Okay, so after we set our wallpaper to whatever you want, if you want to do that even, what you want to do is you want to click on Image Editor, and then Backgrounds, and you want to set this to 20, because Undertale and Deltarune use 20 by 20 tiles. Go to Grid Settings, you want to set this to 20, and this to 20. And you can display grid if you want, I keep it off. And for the Sprite Editor settings, you want to have default sprite origin, middle center, and default sprite collision mask kind, just rectangle. Default sprite animation mode, frames per second. Default sprite animation speed. It doesn't really matter because you'll have to change it for everyone, really. Unless you want to do that. Default sprite width and height, I'd recommend 20 by 20 again. For the room editor, you want to set your default room width to 640 and your default room height to 480. Because these are like the default dimensions of, or like the minimum dimensions you can have in like Deltarune. For grid settings, you want 20 by 20, and you can click display grid and snap the grid on. I tend to keep these on, but there are sometimes you might want to turn them off. For spline editor, you want to make sure this is 20 and then 8 and 8. Okay, and then that's all the settings we need for here. But it has this. For the game-specific settings, you want to make sure this is set to DML code, game frames per second. We just want to set this to 30. You can have it at 60 if you want, or higher, but typically you want 30 for an Undertale Deltarune Fangame. And you can put like your name if you're like the author. So my name is. Then you want to go to Windows here, or whatever platform you're using, and okay, you want to change what the display name is. So obviously this, you want to do your game's name or whatever you want it to be. It's this appearance, and this is the name of like the exe file. So again, you want to do the name of your game, and then so here's the version number. This is only really matters when you're exporting, and I should say this only matters when you're exporting too. And then you want the name of your company. You probably don't need that. Products, you can delete, and description, you can describe it if you want. I'm not going to do that. And the save data location, you can choose if you want it in local app data or app data. Doesn't really matter, I don't think. Yeah. Yep. And then for graphics, you want display cursor. Start full screen if you want. Personally, I don't like having that on, but some people might. Allow full screen switching. Yes, you want to make sure that's on. So that people can just press F4 and switch their screen size. Alright, and so that should be all the settings we need to change. And if you just want a quick test, make sure it works, this is the playtest button, or alternatively, you can press F5. Oh wait, and you need one room to run actually. I deleted the other one, so let's add a room back in. And we'll name this RM _1 for just room 1, or room test, let's have actually. Yes, and oh, and this reminds me that another thing we need to do is, for whenever we create a room, we want to make sure we click enable viewports, and under viewport 0 we click visible, and we want camera properties 640 by 480, so the Deltarune resolution, and viewport properties, this is we want to keep that the same too. And yeah, and so this object following will be for the player, so let's actually create object obj _ player, and it doesn't really need a sprite, but we'll add that later. You can just put this anywhere for now. It won't drop us anything. And for viewport 0 here, for the object following, just select the player. Okay, actually, now that I cross-referenced with my other project, I should have said this before, but actually, if you go to preferences and room editor, yep, instead of default room width being 640 by 480, you actually want it to be 320 by 240. Yeah, so yeah, that's sorry about that, just a small correction. And let me make this 350 by 240, so this will be like the minimum room size you really want, because for the camera, you want to make sure it's set to 320 by 240, because that's like the resolution that the game's rendered at. So you can't have a room smaller than what it's being rendered. And then through the viewport properties, you scale it up, and here you can have it be the 640 by 480 if you want an Undertale like size. For example, if you want it to be this big. However, if you want a Deltarune resolution, you want to do 1280 by 960, and that will give you a screen size this big. So make sure you have that set up, depending on if you want an Undertale screen size or a Deltarune screen size on Windows. It doesn't really matter when you have it full screen. So, yep. And then for the settings here, you want this to be 160 by 120. That way, as soon as you move, the camera moves. You don't have to move a bit and then the camera starts moving. Yeah. And for horizontal speed and vertical speed, you can leave those the same. And yep, that's all the settings you should need to have everything all ready and set up. So if we run this by pressing F5, oops, wait, I made a mistake. I forgot that if you don't, you need to first switch this to test before you actually run it, because otherwise it's going to try to run it like on some Opera GX website. So if you get this message, just click OK. Right, and here we go. We have our window, and it's the size of the Deltarune window, which we're going for. As you can see, it has the title, Disappearance. Yeah. And now that we have that all set up, something that I would highly recommend to get in the habit of every time you're done working on a session, you just wanna send it to GitHub, so you just have it backed up. So let's just title this added room and player object. Okay, And now click commit to main, push to origin, let it load, and there we go. We should be able to check our GitHub and... Oh wait, I'm on the... Okay, make sure you're on the main actual thing, the main commit, not like your initial one. But yeah, and we can see it has the title of the commit we have, and we have our player object saved, and we have our test room saved. And with that, we have finished setting up everything we need to get started with development. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comments. I'll do my best to assist like I did with Kibi's comment sections. Also, you can follow me on Bluesky or Tumblr if you want, where I'll probably post some art and any old/unfinished songs over there if you're interested. And I'm not good. I don't expect any masterpieces. And please feel free to tag me on your progress there. I'd love to see what y'all are working on. Anyway, good luck and thank you for watching.